All right, up and running. Sweet. Alrighty. So today I'm going to be doing the finishing little touches on my venomcrawler here. He is from the Chaos Space Marine Start Collecting box. He is my piece of quote-unquote hobby debt. Just one of those kits that every time I touch it, I'm like, man, I love this kit. It's super cool, but there's just some brain blockage that's keeping me from finishing her up. So I'm gonna finish him up, but show off. I got some fun stuff from the hobby shop to paint up later on stream. I got big booty Necron destroyer with his 2 different guns that I'm gonna magnetize. I love the box art for these things. It's just so like 80s action figure. It's super, super cool. I could see some people being like, oh, the new box art looks really cheap and shitty. But it has such a like G.I. Joe 1980s vibe. I love it. So I got him, and I got some more heavy fire support for my Necrons. I got the big War of the Worlds walker, which the guy at the shop said is actually bigger than the other big walker, and that makes sense because when I looked at all the internals, they're actually completely different, all the way the legs work and stuff. So yeah, I'll build those up and paint those up on stream later. Go with my other Necrons that I've done in the other videos, but I just wanted to share them because they're fun. So I got this guy to finish up today. So a couple of things that are outstanding. I need to do his eyes. I need to do all the teeth that are in various places all over the model. The teeth are the same color as the bones because there's like a skull up on one of the spikes up here. We have this tassel to paint as well. And we just have a whole bunch of cables and different cable colors to paint. So I'm probably going to start with those. So a lot of the cables, they're going to be silver because they're just sort of the silver that ties together. I did see I missed some silver there, but we'll touch that up in a little bit. But I noticed that I need 2 cable colors because some of them, like on this leg here, you have 1 cable, 2 cables on silver, so those need to stand out. So it means I'm going to need 2 different cable colors. One of these is going to be red to keep in line with my other Chaos Space Marine Demon Baddie McBaddingtons, where this guy has a bunch of little red cables. And the other color is either going to be orange or blue as the wheel strikes me. So, start off with the red, knock some of those out, and go from there. So this guy is pretty close to being done. A bunch of his gold still needs touch up. The camera makes it look a lot more stable than it actually is. The color is a lot more wishy-washy. So that needs some touch up. He's got some black touch up he needs. Still like right there in the middle, that should be black. Over here on this side needs some black touch up. But besides that, and everything that I'm planning on doing for the stream, he is almost ready. His base will need to be done in metallics, but I'll do that when I do another base. So, because I have my Mauler Fiend here, still do his base, so I'll do those at the same time. So, since I need 2 different colors for the cables, it means I'm going to actually end up having 3. Because I want to do some silver for the cables, because I think will help tie the body together. if the center mass and some of the stuff in here is silver. So there's actually 3 different types of cables. There's these smaller little cables. There are bigger cables that sort of have casing on them and you can see the cables underneath. And then there are entirely metallic cables. Now, logic and being super pedantic would say that I should do the cables in a logical fashion. Like, this cable is always red, that cable is always green, stuff like that. But I don't want to do that. One of the reasons I don't want to do that and sort of have that kind of consistency is I would rather be using the cables to convey color around the model than to have them be 100% perfect consistent. Because in truth, having some consistency in your model is extremely important, but it's also super important to have your color repeated around the model and not just be stranded. So I think that's more important to me in designing this model than to have, you know, oh, well, all my robots have this kind of cable in red and they have this kind of cable in green. And I want to sort of avoid that. And partially I also want to avoid that kind of thinking. The idea of like developing a canon in your painting, you know, like, oh, I always do all my swords like this, or, you know, oh, my guys, they always have this color pants, you know, even if it's a different army or a totally different unit or something. Like, having that kind of canon and thinking actually super inhibits your creativity, because it means that, you know, whenever you have to paint pants or shit, so let me take my ring off so I don't get paint on it, or whenever you have to paint, you know, a sword, you're never going to try to paint it a different way. You're never going to look at a different technique. You're never going to look at something else. You're just going to be like, oh, I know how to paint swords. And your brain's going to call in that archetype, and you're going to be like, all right, I use this color and this color and this color, and that's a sword. You know, it's also going to make all your stuff a little bit more samey. So I always try to avoid having that kind of headcanon in a model. Partly also like just sort of from like an anxiety standpoint. Like, if you're a person that has kind of perfectionist-y tendencies, that kind of headcanon comes really easy, you know, because your brain is making sense of things and your brain is like, okay, this is how this is right. But you know, the truth is that that kind of thinking isn't always healthy, and it's also largely going to get in the way of your growth as a creator, which is not good. I mean, nobody wants to be doing the same models all the time, right? It's one of the reasons why I have so many different armies in like small, tiny armies. You know, like I have 25 power levels of this, 50 power level of that. You know, I don't have like, you know, 6,000 power level of ultramarines or something, you know, because it keeps it fresh, keeps it neat, keeps it unique. My Chaos Demon army is specifically designed to be 4 25 power level micro armies that just sort of glue together. Probably never going to be competitive, but it's going to be fun, and I'm going to have lots and lots of different stuff to paint, you know, I mean, you know, painting this guy, you know, how I'm going to paint him is way different than how I'm going to end up painting this lady on her, like, big sex horse, you know, and it's cool, and it keeps a nice little bit of freshness and stuff. Alright, so we got some red in there, some little bits, adding some interesting little stuff to catch the eye from the bottle. To figure out what color we want to do the eyes, actually I want to do some red around the cables of the eyes. My first inclination was actually to do the eyes in red with the cables, but since the eyes are dead center in the model, I kind of actually want them to be unique color. Since, you know, the center of the model is really where I want you to look anyway. Am I on cam? Nope, not. Center of the model is really where I want you to look anyway. So, as much as I don't want to strand and have orphan colors, having one there sort of as a pop color, I don't think is particularly bad. Let's see how we're looking. Yeah, there we go. Alright. Just making sure we're still on cam. Learning to paint details further away has been a challenge for sure. Okay, got that cable done. So, let's do some other cables actually in blue. Let's do them in troglodyte blue. Yeah, why not? I use this color for plasma a lot, so we'll use it for this too. And then we're going to do the eyes. Do we want to do the eyes in fluorescent green? No. We want to do the eyes in Kraken scale. That's what we're doing the eyes in. I love this color. It's one of my favorite colors. Alright, so let's get them eyes painted. Ooh. We on cam? Yep. Sam Fisher. There we go. He's got his Sam Fisher goggles now. Now I could mix a little white into this and do sort of like a lens effect. Honestly, I don't know if I want them to be lenses though. I mean, it's kind of a bug monster, but I don't know. We might do that. We might not. TBD. But let's knock out some more cables. Let's get some more color into him. Just increase his overall color depth a little. So we're going to do this blue for some of these cables. I could be keeping like a super evil color palette for these cables, you know, maybe doing them like a mega dark red or something like that. But honestly, I like the idea of red and blue as cables, because this is like a monster, and it kind of reminds me of like veins and arteries. I think that's kind of neat. Just sort of thought of that and I was like, yeah, that's kind of cool. You know, when that idea hits you and then you look at the cables and they go from being cables to being like, ugh, kind of icky, you know, and you're like, oh, those aren't cables, those are his body cables, those are his veins. I like that, it's a cool idea. So anywhere it's split open, I'm gonna I'm going to leave that as silver when I can. Just because little hints of silver aren't bad. I screwed up some of them, but it's alright. It's just going to be a when I can kind of thing. I'm not going to super make a worry about it. Get another artery in there. Okay. Alright, let's get more of those arteries in. Let's see, let's put one right here at the top. Are we on cam? Yep, we're on cam. Okay, cool. There we go. And here we go again. Alright. Let's get the rest of those colors sort of moving around the model. Gonna have one over here too. We'll leave this guy here. Right on cam? Yep. It's moving a little low. There we go. There we go. We go like that. We'll hit this guy too. Try to break up some of that silver in there. There we go. Just breaking that up a little, adding a little detail in there. Let's see what we got. We've got another cable here. Him in blue too. All right. I'm concentrating, so I'm not like, as soon as I start concentrating, I stop talking. Oh, man, that is doing little stuff. I don't really want to have to clean it up later. It's hard to talk and do that. Oh. I do see there's another cable in there that I should do in red, just to break it out from the silver a little. So I'll do that next. So I will cover that over. It's fine. Get up in there like that. Trying to figure out how to get to the back side of that cable. I mean, if it's that hard to get to, I shouldn't bother painting it, but I can still see it, so it's going to bug me if I don't paint it. And if I don't get a little paint on it. There we go. Alright, cool. We'll call that done. Alright, so let's get some of this blue worked out here in the back. Let's do that guy like that. And then let's do this guy right here. And I don't want to replace all the silver cables. I definitely want to break it up a little bit. Okay, cool. And this one here underneath will do. So we'll actually pick out one of the two that are hanging down in red. Yeah. There we go, like that. Okay, cool. Yeah, looking good. Alright, now let's do these guys up here. You on cam? We're on cam. Hell yeah. Getting the hang of it. Alrighty. There we go. And then this guy. Okay, sweet. All right, well let's do another round. No, let me rephrase that. Let's fix that red cable that we know we're missing, and then we'll do another round around the model, just to make sure that we didn't not get something that we want to paint, and then we will. We'll move on to painting teeth, I guess. Or touching up black. Those are 2 steps we got left. So we've got to touch up silver, we have to touch up black, we have to touch up the gold. And we have to paint teeth. And then any other colors for cables that we want to do. So I'm not going to do touching up silver yet because we're going to wait for these cables to dry, because I might come back in and pick out some of the spots where they're popped open and you can see the guy underneath. Maybe pick some of those out a little bit better. Go. So let's look. Okay, this leg here actually has a cable on it too, underneath. It's not going to be immediately apparent, but it'll look nicer if we do it. So we'll do it in red. So the other side doesn't have anywhere equivalent to run to have a spot of color, have a cable. So we'll do it in red. So you can see it here from the back pretty well. And I get most of it done. Yeah, this guy would have definitely been easier if I hadn't put him on the base to paint. But it's all good. I don't think I would have sub-assembled him if I had to build another venomcrawler, like tomorrow. I don't think I would sub-assemble it, just because I don't think it's necessary. But I definitely wouldn't have put him on the base until at least the colors underneath are done. All right. So I think that's